The federal government just canceled $7 billion in solar grants for low-income communities. 23 states sued to get their money back, and this week a federal judge dismissed the case. But here's what nobody's talking about. This fight isn't over. Make sure to follow for more stories like this and listen to the Green Collar Careers podcast to hear from people doing environmental and climate work. So here's what happened. In 2024, the EPA created the Solar for All program, $7 billion in grants to help low-income and disadvantaged communities access solar energy. As a result, states started implementing the program. They hired staff, they executed contracts. Vermont hired 3 full-time positions. Michigan awarded $13.5 million to 13 community solar projects. Then in July 2025, Congress passed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which repealed that underlying statute. The EPA used that as justification to terminate all those grants and claw back 93% of the funding, including billions of dollars that had already been obligated to the states. 23 states and the District of Columbia sued. This week, a federal judge dismissed that case, but not because the states were wrong on the merits. Instead, the judge dismissed it because of a legal doctrine called the Tucker Act, which says that contractual claims against the federal government can only be heard in specialized courts called the Court of Federal Claims. In other words, the states filed in the wrong court. And here's a critical detail. The states already have a parallel case pending in the Court of Federal Claims, filed the day before this lawsuit. That case is still alive. This fight over $7 billion in grants for low-income communities is not over. Supporters of the cancellation say Congress eliminated the program's statutory basis and the EPA had no choice but to terminate the grants. Opponents, on the other hand, say the law only authorized rescission of the unobligated funds. The money that's already been committed to the state was untouchable, and that members of Congress who wrote the bill said so explicitly on the record. Which side are you on? Drop it in the comments. Now here's what this story means for green careers. Environmental law, federal grants compliance, energy policy, community solar development, environmental justice advocacy. More than ever, the field needs people who aren't scientists. We need policy analysts who can track what happens when these programs and administrations change. Attorneys who understand the difference between obligated and unobligated funds and why it matters. All of this is needed, and now's the time. The work is real, the stakes are real, and the field needs people from every background to get it right. DM me Pivot for the Green Pivot Map, and make sure you listen to the Green Collar Careers podcast for more stories like this.